What's up, guys? It's Ohmwrecker, and today I'm taking a look at Mechwarrior Online by Piranha Games Interactive. And this is a game I've wanted to talk about literally all summer long, going all the way back to June, July. But the developers have kept all testers under a very strict non-disclosure agreement. Finally, today that agreement lifts, and now I can tell you guys all about the game. Mechwarrior Online is the first Mechwarrior game to come out in a very long time. The only catch here is that there is not any sort of single-player campaign in it. It is all multiplayer, but I'll be honest with you, I don't mind it all that much. The multiplayer is ridiculously fun, and I honestly have not gotten bored of it yet. I realize that there are going to be two mech games kind of going head-to-head here. There's also Hawken on the horizon, but as you can see in this footage, Mechwarrior is more of a tanky sim type mech game versus Hawken is more of a twitch shooter. So, just like in the previous Mechwarrior games, mech pilots have the capability of completely customizing their mech, and aside from clan tech at the moment, just about all the fan favorites are there. You still have to manage your heat sinks, your engines, your weapons. If you want to have missiles or ballistics or energy weapons, I mean, there's so many different configurations out there. The only way that the developers limit players is with their variant system, which is so far pretty cool. I don't mind it all that much, but the way the variants work is that a variant, for example, might be missile based, and it allows you to put a couple missile weapons in one side of the torso, and maybe you'll have an energy weapon in one of the arms. And with that limitation, that's really all you can do with that mech, is you are stuck with those two missile weapons and one energy weapon. Some of the higher end mechs have many more slots, but overall the variants are what really dictate how you're going to build your mech. Aside from that, though, again, you can configure your mech in any way you want. You can put your heat sinks in different areas. You can upgrade the engines. You can even put XL engines inside, which increase the risk of you being destroyed by a critical if one of your side torsos is penetrated and damaged enough. Ammunition is still required for the ballistics weapons and missiles, and ammunition can be blown up. So can some of the weapons. Weapons can actually be damaged critically and blow up internally inside your mech, causing damage throughout it or even destroying you outright. Aside from the customization, though, what's really awesome is that the developers have gone ahead and modified the Crisis engine, which is what this uses. It's a Crytek engine. And now it supports location-specific damage. So your mech can be damaged in multiple points on both the front and back. There's a greater weakness in the back in pretty much all mechs, where if you're taking damage in the rear side, it's going to penetrate much quicker into your internals. You can also pull off headshots. There's a small area in most mechs where you can actually see the pilot's window, and if you get a good enough shot off on that, you can actually take out a mech very quickly. But it's not that easy to pull off, so it's not really imbalanced. And there's other things like legging. You can blow off the legs of a mech, cause them to be crippled, and if you blow off both legs, they die. So it's really cool that, you know, you can apply this damage across areas, and also that you can destroy components while the match is live. So if you do enough damage, let's say, to the left torso on an enemy, and that's where they actually have their missile weapons, or let's say a couple of their lasers. If you penetrate through, you can destroy their weapons where they cannot use those weapons any longer, and they're really just stuck with any of the other weapon points that they have on their mech, if any. It's entirely possible to completely eliminate weapons on a mech where they're sitting duck. Or you can even set off ammunition where the ammunition starts blowing up, as mentioned, and all of a sudden they can't use their ballistics or their missiles because they have nothing to shoot, but their weapons might be fine. So with the location-specific damage and a variety of weapons on the battlefield, players have to quickly decide how they want to go about dealing with the enemy mechs. And the game never really tells you what sort of composition you're going against. You could be going against a number of different Atlases, you know, which are essentially the biggest mechs in the game, or you might be going against a ton of light mechs that are all about mobility and being hard to hit, where they can run circles around the heavies. And then it comes down to deciding how you want to go about disabling or destroying the enemies, because you can go straight for that core where you can try to punch through the center torso, or if you're suspecting that they have a XL engine, you can go for sides as well. Otherwise, you can try to go for the legs and leg them, cripple them where they can't get away. This helps a lot with like the light mechs, for example. If you can pop off one of their legs, their advantage of being quick and speedy is no more. They're limping around and they're an easy target to finish off. There's also tackling. You can run into enemy mechs and cause them to fall over, at which point both mechs are also sitting ducks once again. And when they get up, I mean, sure, they might be able to get away if they're not killed by the time they get up, but by then they're probably suffering from crazy damage to their internals. So on the monetization side, because this is going to be a free-to-play game, the game itself has already been pretty damn successful because of their founders program, and there's a lot of players now that have earned in-game currency, among other things, from contributing to that program. Players, though, can play completely for free. There are trial mechs to use by players right now. The plan is to have 4 available at all times, and they're not just like the light scouts. The developers have chosen to give players a wide variety of loadouts that includes an assault mech, heavy, a medium, and a light. So new players can literally hop into an Atlas, at least for right now, and jump right into a game. The other cool thing about the trial mechs is that players do not have to maintain the trial mechs. Players that actually own mechs, though, do have to maintain theirs. They have to pay for the repair costs for additional ammunition, and also when they want to customize their mech, they have to pay for all those upgrades. Meanwhile, anyone using the trial mechs, sure, they're locked into their configuration, but the configurations aren't necessarily bad. I went ahead and started playing with a bunch of the trial mechs recently, and I was able to achieve the same types of scores that I was able to achieve with my founders mechs or any of the others that I had purchased. So the trial mechs themselves are actually a really great way for players to unlock other mechs that they actually want to use, because they're not facing any sort of expenses whatsoever. All they're doing is just getting C-bills over and over and over again every time they play, whether they win or lose, and then they can apply them to mech purchases. Beyond the C-bills, though, that players get whether they pay or not into the game, there is a currency called MC. And the MC credits can be used to unlock mechs, but they cannot be used to unlock weapons or any of the pilot upgrades. So it's kind of going more of like a League of Legends path, where the MC is going to be more for unlocking champions if you want, or in this case mechs, and also potentially skins. For those worried about pay-to-win scenarios, though, I'm not necessarily getting that vibe from the game right now, because the C-bills are actually kind of thrown at you in good numbers every time you play, especially if you're using trial mechs and you don't have to worry about repairs. And the mechs themselves are reasonably priced for the most part. The only exception might be the Atlas, where some of those Atlases can cost in excess of 11 million credits, or C-bills in this case. Aside from that, I think PGI is doing a pretty good job of creating a balance where trial players can play on pretty even odds with everyone else. And, you know, it kind of reminds me a little bit of League of Legends once again, where, you know, even if you have masteries in League of Legends, in this case, if you have pilot upgrades, it's not that huge of an impact. You cannot buy those upgrades. You just have to earn them by playing. And, you know, players who actually own their own mechs have a disadvantage in some ways by having to pay to maintain those mechs versus, like I said, you know, before, the trial mechs, there's no expenses whatsoever. You just get C-bills and you just save them up. So, yeah, I have good feelings about Mechwarrior Online. I think Piranha's doing a great job. I mean, there are some issues with the beta. For example, there's no DX11 yet. I'm told that that's supposed to be in the game at some point, but it hasn't shown up all summer. The netcode associated with running into other players is kind of wonky, where players will kind of warp around as they try to stand back up, and it makes it really hard to target them at times. There still doesn't seem to be any sort of music in the game, at least that I can hear. There are also some bugs, like, for example, with the audio. And there's always been kind of like an issue with motion blur, where, you know, sometimes you'll be seeing mechs move around, like move across your screen, and you'll see almost like a ghost image of them as they go along, which I haven't been able to figure out just yet. You can turn off motion blur, but that doesn't seem to fix it. And the final issue I have with the game right now is just that trees and buildings are not destructible, so when you run up to trees, normally you would expect them to, you know, kind of fall over, or at least get damaged, but in Mechwarrior Online, they just sit there. I mean, nothing impacts them at all. It did make me wonder if I would rather have no trees if they can't resolve that issue. I think that the game looks better with trees, so I personally can get used to it, but it does feel weird the first time you play the game. Aside from that, though, the visuals, in my opinion, are beautiful. I mean, I think it's one of the best looking games we've seen on PC in quite some time. It fits the setting perfectly. The developers have replicated all of the mechs. I mean, they're built to scale. You've got like the little tiny commandos and Jenners, and you put them up against like some of the assault mechs, and I mean, it's crazy the size difference between them. And then there's stuff like the customization options, which I mentioned before. I mean, it's been so long since developers gave gamers that level of freedom to really dig into the internals of something like this. Like in this case, a mech. It's almost like a hardcore racing sim where you can tweak your engine and tweak your gear ratios, stuff like that. In this game, you can tweak your mech, and it's really quite cool. Stuff like the ammo explosions, being able to set off ammo stores, and having to manage your heat even. There's critical hits. There's, component damage, location-specific damage. It's just overall a very, very hardcore PC game that I think PC gamers have wanted to see come back for a very long time now, and it's awesome that Piranha is delivering it. Alright, so you guys can tell that I'm excited about it. I've actually been pretty engaged with the community while I've been in the beta, and the developers were kind enough to link me up with some keys to give away for this game. Now, as far as I know, these are trial keys. They just get you into the beta, but they don't give you any currency or C-bills to work with. But like I said, you can hop into trial mechs, and right now, this is still in closed beta, so it's not exactly easy to get into, aside from maybe paying for the Founders Program, which will get you in right away, and also link you up with some of the currency when the game launches, and even in beta, you can use it. Alright, so here's what we're going to do for the giveaway. Most of the keys I'm going to give away in this video here, in the comments. What I need you guys to do is tell me which mech you're looking forward to playing the most. And even if you're not familiar with the Mechwarrior franchise, you can go to any wiki and look at a list of mechs. Just tell me which one you think is the coolest or which one you like, and make sure to let me know that you want to get access to the beta. You need to also specify that, otherwise I won't count your entry as an actual entry. Because, we're going to have general comments in here either way. Additionally, if you want to increase your odds, you can follow me on Twitter and look for a tweet from me where I'm going to be engaging you guys, asking you to send a message back, potentially with a trivia question, to win keys that way. Last but not least, I do have a Steam group now. Ever since I joined TGS, I've been getting a lot of friend requests on Steam. I am pretty much at my limit for what Steam will allow, so I made this group so you guys can join it and still support me and also interact with me on Steam, even though my friends list is pretty much full at this point. So I'm going to be giving away some more keys in there. I've already given away 5. But watch Twitter, watch that Steam group, make sure that you join Steam, make sure you follow me on Twitter. And also, if you want to enter via this video, make sure you leave me the comment as mentioned. But that's all, guys. Thanks for watching, and please be sure to like, favorite, comment, and subscribe. Also, let your friends know about my channel and share some of my videos with them. I always appreciate it when you guys do that. There's more videos to come, so stay tuned, and I'll see you guys next time.